Welcome to the Memory Workshop, and we're going to be working through, this is introduction class. So the main thing we're going to be teaching you is we're going to teach you a new skill. And anything in your life that you've ever done and you have to learn a new skill, the first time you start with it, it's not exactly that easy. You're trying to learn how to either do something mechanical or something in the kitchen. The first time you're making a new recipe and maybe it doesn't come out the best way. So a new skill is always a challenge, but this will be a new skill for everyone. As part of what we need to do today is I'm going to teach you a word. It's called a totem, okay? And the totem is going to be, it's a symbolic representation of a concept. And we need to just reference them so that when all of us are talking as a group, or if there's other questions, that we know the content of what you're saying is related to the totem. So today with the intro class, we're going to learn 10 totems. That's going to be part of our goal.
There's a blank piece of paper in the front, and then there's a pen in there. You're going to need the blank piece of paper to draw on.
And with this class, you're going to learn 10 totems. And you probably don't know what that means, but as we get into it, you will start understanding. So number 1, we're going to go through the numbers between 1 and 10. And I want everyone just to look at the number 1. And what we're going to do is you have to make a totem out of the number 1. So as the simplest example is number 1, what does it look like? A toothpick. So you're using your brain to now consider that the number 1 for you is going to be a toothpick.
You also want to write this down on your blank piece of paper, number 1, and then draw the toothpick.
So now for number 2. I'm open to some suggestions because I want everybody to kind of get an idea of what we're doing here. What does the number 2 look like? Bill?
Swan.
Okay, that could be for you. You could use swan. How about another suggestion?
Looks like a hook.
It could look like a hook upside down. That might fudge things for us a little later on, but that would be a very good one for you.
I got cobra.
Yes, all of those are excellent. What I'm going to use for here, though, is a coat hanger. But everyone's totems can be individualized and unique to you. You want to be able to look at the number and then in your mind's eye, try to be able to deform it a little bit so you can come back to it and say, oh, that's right, 1 kind of looks like a toothpick, that's what it is. Because it'll take a little bit of time in your brain to make that association, at least initially. What does 3 look like?
A bird.
Oh, genius here in the class. That's absolutely. Because when you were in grade school and you draw those little birds, you see the painters, they do it. They just do that little like, and it's such a quick little thing that they do. But I absolutely agree. When you see the 3, turn it to the side a little bit, that becomes a bird. So number 4, if you kind of take it and you squish it a little bit, a boat. So you kind of see the mast on it. And that's a good one. Like when we're coming back to use these totems, when you have something as unique and as strong and as powerful as a boat, your brain is really going to appreciate that later when we're using it. Number 5, some suggestions. Cora, I guess you would have the grand imagination because if you turned it upside down, it was a different number. It's a hook. And I think I like the fact that this is a hook because you can look at that and then you can look at what a hook looks like. Now it's not only a hook, it's a very powerful hook. And you have to think about it that way too. That in your mind's eye, that hook has limitless possibility. That hook can do everything. It's going to be important. We're building totems. So again, these totems are just symbolic representations of something that means something to you. It doesn't have to mean anything to anyone else, only you.
Because it helps you remember the number 5.
So hook is going to be 5, and you can see if you look at the 5, how you could look at it, and then you're saying to yourself, oh, what was number 5? What did I have as number 5? Well, look at the number and just make it easy for yourself. And as you have the hook, you can kind of twist that number a little bit and make it the hook. Any suggestions on 6?
Looks like a cherry.
You could have used that, and that would have been a very good one also. As long as it's unique and it's something, a totem can be whatever you need to have it. What I picked for this when I was doing mine, I picked a gun. I made it very easy. A gun is a 6-shooter, and if you take that, it kind of looks like a gun, you know, if you deform it a little bit and make the handle. So now for number 7, I mean, there's a lot of different suggestions that people could have. What I selected for the number 7 is a cliff. Because if you look at the 7, and you could just imagine something going on up here on this, Now 8, I want to hear some suggestions on 8. I
Infinity
think-
symbol.
Yeah, the infinity symbol would work well also.
Snowman.
Snowman! That was exactly, when we had a test run of the workshop, that was exactly what somebody else picked too. That your mind must be an excellent mind. It's a set of handcuffs. So number 9. Cora, we had you before on the 6, you mentioned the cherry. Well, what do you think about number 9?
It could also be a cherry.
That's right. You'll really confuse yourself though if you make the 6 and the 9 the same thing. You have to make them different colors, and sometimes that doesn't work out so well inside your mind. I picked the balloon. Take the 9 and you kind of pull it down and let that number kind of morph in. And then we have the last one for the intro class. And actually, even though this is the intro class, with just these 10 totems, you could go all the way to pretty much the pro class. This is all you're going to need. So number 10 is baseball and a bat. And it's only a matter now that you're opening up your mind, you're using your imagination, you're using the power of your brain to do something new. So today is a new skill. I'm Alan James and I'm lucky. And I worked all the way up to 75. So but it took me over a decade. I've been working on this since I was in medical school, working another 5, another 10, and sometimes I would just add another 10. It would take a year and really be able to get them that association was there. It's better if it becomes something individualized for you, that when you're looking at that number, there's something that really means something to you. I'll give you a good example. A couple of years ago, I was at a conference down in Dallas, and they have this intersection in Dallas that is just so incredible. It's one highway and another highway and another highway. And if you look at it from space, the thing is absolutely crazy with all this interchange that's going on. It's like the most massive one. And some of the high ones were like hundreds of feet in the air. So for me, that's number 52. If a totem is weak, you're going to have a hard time making the association. So as the example, if you pick a red cherry for 9 and then something similar to a cherry for 6, you might find out that sometimes it's not working, and it's better to just cut your losses, change it to something significantly different. That's the first part of the intro class. Now, without looking at your things, I'm going to ask some questions of everybody. So, what's number 7? We're going to go around the room here, okay? What's number 7?
Twist.
Okay. We're just learning something new. It's the first time. So they were like, chop this up, cut this up, add this. You're like, okay, wait a minute. Can you go through that again? And what's the temperature I bake it at? Like, it takes a little bit of time. But think of what the number 2 looks like. Transform it a little bit. Mess with it a little bit. Make it a little bit wider at the bottom with the little hook on top.
Oh, the hanger.
Right, and that's right there at that moment. That's the new connections in your brain that's forming, where it's like, oh, that's right, it came to you. A couple seconds ago, it was nowhere in your brain, but it filtered through and you found it. That's awesome. Think about 10. 2 things laying there. The 1 and the 0
Oh,
side.
ball in the bat.
Right. So see the same connection? It takes a little bit of time to make that connection, but you have an entire month to just run the numbers from 1 to 10, 10 to 1. That's all. You keep going back and forth. You have to learn it. You're going to have to put some time into it. You're not just going to wake up tomorrow and it's all going to be there. You have to put some time
Can I
into
offer
it.
a suggestion? If you go over the numbers with the drawings right before you go to bed, keep doing them up and down, and it actually helps you fall asleep too.
Kyla put together some clip art of what it was, just in case your drawings aren't all that artistic. The one that she's handing out to you is one you want to take home. You want to leave it on the counter, leave it in the kitchen, leave it in the bathroom. With the totems completed, you're going to have to learn them. So it's something to take home. Now the second part of the way that all of you are going to be able to recall any number between 1 and 100 trillion. The second part of this is visualization. This is going to be unique to you. No one else in the whole entire world, unless they're living with you, is going to have things the same way. So what we're going to do here, you're going to use your imagination and visualization, and we're going to walk through. So what I want everyone to do is I want everyone to think of laying in your bed. That's all I want you to do. You can close your eyes if it helps you to close your eyes. And all I want you to do is think of how you're laying in your bed. Then you step out of your bed, where you're living, and you step onto the floor. Now just in your mind's eye, imagine yourself getting out of your bed. That's a spot. Now you're standing on the floor. That's a spot. We're slowly making ourselves to the bathroom, but we need to separate out different areas in your house of where you're going. So you have bed, and then you have the floor. Now the next, you may have a small hall, you may have a set of steps, you may have a foyer, a closet, but everyone's drawing. Everyone is going to be a little bit different. To that next part of your house that's leading to the bathroom. And if it happens to be in the bathroom already, then that's okay. Use that floor also. Then you're going to go to the bathroom sink. The sink itself is going to be a spot. Now we're going to go back out into that hall, and we're going to start heading to the kitchen. So in your mind's eye, I want you to be able to see your bed, the floor, whatever bathroom floor you have, the bathroom sink. Then you're going to come back and we're going to the kitchen. So wherever the kitchen is now, you'll be able to place a spot for the kitchen, and then we're going to use the microwave. The bathroom and the microwave. That should give everyone hit those spots. But you have to make each general area important to you. So if you have a really, really long hallway and it's divided with the bathroom halfway down, well, use the first section of it as you go to the bathroom, then use the bathroom. When you come out of that door, then use the other part of the hallway. As long as it's divided up, there's no limit on the length or the distance of what it has to be. You can make a small X by each of the spots that you've picked. I'm just going to look over some shoulders here. Let's see what you got, Bill. Yep. And then the steps, right? Yeah. Keep going. Add a couple more in. Go out into your driveway. Let's see, how did you do?
Oh, my house is kind of...
Oh, okay, I see. So you got the bed, and then you got the floor,
Yeah,
then you got the hall,
right.
and then you have ballroom.
Bathroom.
Okay, the bathroom and the sink. As you're doing the visualization and the imagination part, this is where actually your brain is limitless. There's absolutely no limit to where you can take in your mind's eye your day, as long as you've been there before. Little tiny spots. So sometimes when I'm on the road, it's from one stop sign or one traffic signal to the next traffic signal. Makes my life very easy when I want to remember and link these things, or the numbers. So the length of the numbers, I mean, it's only a matter of how much time I wait. So you're waking up in bed, feet out of bed, they hit the floor. Then you got your next steps. What we're going to do here is we're going to try to bring it together for the intro so that at the beginner class, everything is going to make more sense for people and be able to have a little bit of fun with it. Okay? I want you to use the example of number 1, the toothpicks. And I want you and you can close your eyes if it helps, because I want you to imagine that you're laying in your bed and it is filled with toothpicks. The mattress is filled with toothpicks, okay? You can't even move without the toothpicks. When you start moving your arms, the toothpicks are just piled. You can't even move. So you have to surround yourself in toothpicks in the bed. That's your first X where everybody has. Now you're going to step onto the floor. And you think that your house is like a house of horrors or something. Because we're going to give you number 5 on the floor. And it's going to be hooks. And you're standing on hooks. And you're trying to get to the bathroom. But it is quite impossible because the hooks are digging into your flesh. They're cutting your skin. You're bleeding. The more intense that it is in your imagination, the easier it is going to be for you to remember. So you have number 1, you had all the toothpicks you're laying in your bed with. Okay, so the second spot where you are, the second digit that you're going to try to remember is going to be the hooks. Now, for most people, your houses may or may not go to the worst gunfight that you ever saw going on right there, okay? The drywall is getting shattered, the roof is coming down, the bullets are going off, there's the dust. You have to put that into your mind's eye to be able to imagine. The action part of it is very, very important. So that's going to be 6 right there. Now we're still making our way to the sink, and as I walked around, I don't think anybody had a sink in their bedroom, so we still have another digit that we can add. I want you to get closer to the sink, whether it's the bathroom floor or if it actually is your sink, and what we're going to use there is number 7. 7 is a cliff. So I want you to imagine in your mind's eye that as you were approaching that, you're falling. Falling is kind of scary, so you can hit the bottom if you want. That's also very helpful. But I want you to imagine that wherever that was, your house transformed, there was no more floor there, and it was a big cliff. If you happen to be sitting at the sink, You have to imagine you're looking down in that sink and it's a gigantic cliff. We gave you a lot of information for the beginner class. You're learning the totems and that's kind of all a little sketchy and you're like, what does that exactly mean? But as soon as you have that association, it's going to be simple to do this with the first 10 numbers. The walkthrough, it might be the first time in your life that you've ever asked your brain to visualize when you're not actually in your house, you're not laying in your bed, and someone was asking you, think about laying in your bed, think about stepping on the floor, think about moving to the bathroom, think about the bathroom sink. Because you're not memorizing this, you're learning it. It is very easy for everyone here, if I said to you, what's one digit after 6? Any? Right.
Yeah.
Because you're learning it. You didn't memorize that number. So even if we totally ignore the first 2 numbers, you learned it because you know in your mind 6 is followed by 7. And then if I said, well, what's before 6? All you have to do is you go to that place in your mind and you have to think, well, let me walk back into my room and what was going on there. So, Cora in the back. What's the one before 6?
The hooks in my feet.
Right. And hooks in the feet are just before we jump out of bed. So what was happening to you? What's the first one in the sequence?
Oh, okay.
Right. You guys just learned a number that's, in the digits of thousands here, and it's good. Bill, I saw his drawing of his house, and he's got a lot of steps and stuff that goes on to get down to his kitchen. So your number, if we sat here, it's only a matter, it takes a little bit of time, but I could easily give you a number that was 1,000,000 right now. I think Kyla had like 19 when I looked at hers. She went through it. She was really like nickel and diamond. Like it was like, hey, if it was the hallway, what was that closet on that side and that closet on that side? So you can use this to really get a good idea. And it's funny, even with the CrossFit box, I've done that often too. I've used that because you walk into a place like that, you can use your place at work. You go in, the boxes are there. You walk down that little hall. You have 3 little rooms in the back. You turn around, you go over, you have the rowers, you have the, what I mean? Like, you could walk through that in your mind and without any big changes. But even today, she could still walk through what her old house was. I know this is just the intro class and you might be thinking, it doesn't all make sense on how we put it together, but you have a homework assignment. You guys have to go and make pies a couple times to get better at it,